Our world is changing, including our relationships with one another. Kit Esuruoso is a dating coach and popular YouTuber who's here to help people find real, authentic connections. And according to Kit, traditional dating is making a comeback. Okay, Kit is joining us today. Kit, thanks so much for being with us. I'm excited to dive into our talk today, talk a little bit more about relationships. Do you think traditional dating, and maybe we should define what traditional dating is, but is traditional dating making a comeback? What do you think?
Yeah, interesting. So what we're definitely seeing, let's define traditional dating first. So
Yeah.
traditional dating really refers to bringing back more of a courtship, bringing more back of, men taking the lead, men, maybe initiating, men paying, etc. Really providing the space and the frame for the woman, which is a very traditional dynamic.
Right.
And people are starting to take a much more traditional approach to dating, especially I'm starting to see it more with women. And in particularly because we've had the past few decades of, the kind of sexual liberation and all of this stuff, which has been, great, freedom of choice for everybody. But what we're seeing at the moment is that women are seeing that they're trying to approach dating the way men typically approach, which is, dating with the physical intimacy first, putting a lot of low value when it comes to who they're physical with, treating people as casual sexual options as opposed to building that intimacy. And it's not making them happy. Because generally speaking, usually when most women are actually dating, they're actually looking for connection and looking for relationship.
Yep.
And what they're finding through their experience is that trying to approach dating how men do, which is to treat sex very casually, to not allow the space for the companionship to form, the emotional connection to form, isn't getting to the relationship and the commitment that they actually want. And so now we're starting to see women go, oh, we tried this kind of sexually liberalized kind of approach, and it's actually worse than what it was before. So now we're starting to see a lot more women kind of take the more conservative approach, especially maybe becoming more religious. Some women are, exercising celibacy, and seeing if that can attract the kind of commitment that they want from men.
Yeah, it does make sense that you would be like, okay, let's see if this guy thing works the way guys have been doing it for a long time, because they've been doing it for a long time and it's kind of worked for them, maybe kind of, sort of. But they tried it. They're like, that's not us. That's not us. Has this happened over a period of time? Like, when did this kind of start?
Yeah, I would probably say, so a lot changed when birth control became commercial, which is right around the 60s and 70s. So when birth control became commercial and available to the masses, it removed the consequences of choosing bad sexual partners for women. So the stakes in getting pregnant by the wrong man dropped significantly, and we saw a massive uprise in casual sex amongst men and women. And while that was, and that's when we entered the hippie era and all of that stuff. While it's fun and explorative, ultimately most people still want connection, especially most women want connection. Most women, if we take the point that most women have a more feminine core, the feminine seeks closeness and intimacy. And so because of that, when they realize that, oh, well, just kind of treating sex casually isn't bringing that intimacy and connection into my life, then they're kind of like, okay, well, we have to do something else. And they're like, well, back in the day, people seem to commit more when a woman kind of was more reserved in that sense. And so that's the approach they're now taking.
And how are men reacting to this?
Reacting to what, the women taking a more conservative approach?
Yeah, because I would imagine they would have kind of maybe liked the fact that they were kind of treating sex more casually, maybe more like a man. Maybe the men could relate to the women better, but now they're going back. So how are men reacting to that?
Yeah, so you're definitely right in the sense that it really played into desirable men. I think it's really important to specify the difference between men who have a lot of optionality with women and men who don't. But for men who are very desirable, who have a lot of optionality with women, it really does play into their hands in terms of, great, I can be having casual sex with multiple women and none of them, want commitment from me. Not if they get pregnant, we have birth control now, all of this stuff. So it kind of removes a lot of the responsibility. But I think the way guys are finding it now is it hasn't got to the point where the conservative way of dating has become with the majority. So it's going to take time. So what's happening now is if a man, a modern guy, if he's used to dating and being, quite physically intimate with a woman quite quickly nowadays, he then comes across a woman who's like, oh no, I'm not going to do that. He's just going to go, okay, well, there are other women who are still very much doing that in the majority of the masses. And so if, for him, it's kind of like, okay, well, he's just going to go there. So at the moment, what it's doing is because, treating physical intimacy quite casually, quite freely is still very much the main narrative and the mainstream. Guys are just kind of leaving the women who are staying on the celibacy and just continue to go to the masses where, they can indulge in that casually.
Makes sense.